ahimsa, second satya, third acharya, fourth brahmacharya, and fifth and last one is aparigya. So for their application, first we know the meaning of them. So let's understand the simple meaning of each of them. So first ahimsa, it means do not kill any other beings. Second satya, it means never tell a lie and always saying the good words. Third one acharya, it means do not take anybody's thing without his permission. And fourth one is brahmacharya. It means living on soul. Fifth, aparigya. It means to stop collecting more and more things which are not even in use. So let's move in our main topic: application of these principles in daily life by example of each of them. So first ahimsa, its example. First ahimsa, walking with concentration. Walking with concentration and to be saved the killing small creatures. Second satya, when our work is not complete, so we tell a lie because saved from punishment. So instead of this, we are always saying truth. Its benefit. We are get less punishment and no punishment. Third acharya, when we need something for some time, so we are takes other thing for without their permission. So instead of them, we are asking its owner before using it. Fourth one, brahmacharya. The greater example of brahmacharya is Sudarshan. He will follow brahmacharya his whole life, and he will follow brahmacharya his whole life. And when it's result, when he hangs up in rope, the rope is converted into the garland. Fifth, aparigya. When we should take only the things which are needed by us, and instead of extra items, taking extra items. And so let's know benefits of each of them. When first ahimsa, when we are following ahimsa, we always being friendly to others and not jealous from anyone. Second satya, when we are not tell a lie, we are known respect in society, and all people are talk with us sweetly. Third acharya, when we do not steal anybody's thing, we do not insult it in anywhere. Fourth brahmacharya, when we are following brahmacharya, so that the bad thoughts are not come in our mind, and we are seeing all as our brothers and sisters. Fourth, aparigya, when we do not beyond need clothes, money, and other things. So the other things. So we become satisfied. In life, we are saying that only that we always follow Jain principles for better life. Jain.
Chief guest, jury members, and my dear friends, today I am present here to delivering a wonderful speech on the topic of why five sins are not commanded. So, there are not five sins in Jainism or in world. There are five categories to differentiate that sin. There were many sins which are not considered as sin in the world. but his copy is in her bag. If really checked her bag, then he gave more punishment, more punishment to him. Robbery. Nowadays, many robbery are happening without Mayachari. It can't possible. Anyone do Mayachari, it means he also do robbery. In the result of that robbery, he will take place in Trianskati, Fort Kushi. Fort Kushi, for example, once the Ravan was attracted by the beauty of Sita. Due to only this reason, he will take rebirth in hell. Fifth, excessive indulgence. For example, once there was a Sudarshan Seth. He was very greedy. Due to his greed, he will take place in Trianskati. These actions preventing the soul from achieving its pure natural state, and these actions are bad deeds according to the society, religion, and laws and government. These all are helpful to humans for becoming a big, and that big person and that sinner after becoming big do all these sins, and in the result of that sins he will take place in bad limbs. It means these 5 sins are the reason of becoming bad. From these 5 sins, cruelty and misbehavior are come in our nature. And these are the enemy of humbleness, humanity, and honesty. According to the good person, these 5 sins are bad works. I want to say that we should never do these 5 sins, and I want to say that we should never do all these 5 sins and achieve the pure and natural state of our soul. Jain.
A very warm greetings to one and all present here. Today, I am here as a representative of Anant Gyan House to deliver a speech on the topic Application of Jain Principles. I will convey my opinions in 4 points. First, which are the base principles of Jainism? Second, what do they convey? Third, how can we apply them in our day-to-day lives? And fourth, and the foremost point, what are the benefits of their appliance? So let's begin with our initial point, which are the base principles of Jainism. So there are many principles in Jainism, but there are some base principles which are the roots of Jain Dharma, due to which Jain Dharma becomes a greater dharma and different from the other religions. So among them, some are: first, the principle of Anekant and Syadvad; second, the principle of Akartavad; third, the principle of Ahimsa; fourth, the principle of Shama; and fifth, the principle of Sanyam. And before having a proper understanding about these above principles, we cannot apply them in our life. So first of all, let's have some understanding about these principles. So let's move to our next point, which is what do these principles convey. So Anekantvad. The principle of Anekant and Syadvad conveys that every single thing or person can have many different faces. For example, I myself, I am a son for my parents, I am brother for my siblings, and I am grandson for my grandparents. So Anekant and Syadvad explains that I am one, but I can have many different relations with different people. So now Akartavad. This is the major principle of Jain Dharma. This is the foremost principle which makes Jain Dharma more greater. It conveys that one cannot do anything of other person, and one eats the fruits of his own sown seeds. Third, Kshama. Kshama means to forgive. There is a great saying regarding Kshama that one who apologizes means asks for Kshama is Veer, but one who forgives is Mahavir. Now, After Kshama comes Ahimsa. Ahimsa. This is the principle which is common among most of all the religions. Ahimsa means not to hurt anyone emotionally, physically, or mentally. Sanyam. The word Sanyam means to control. There are many things to be controlled, such as anger, violence, desires, etc. But the main thing that is to be controlled are our words, because words are the major cause of violence and anger. Words sow the seeds of the war, such as Mahabharata. Now, not only these five principles are the base principles, but there are many other some principles, like the basic three qualities of Jain, which are: first, having meal before sunset; second, using purified water; and third, going to temple daily. So, not only these five principles, but these qualities are also to be applied by one in the life. Now, let's come to our third point, which is how can these principles be applied in our day-to-day life. So, as I told that these principles are base principles, they are the root of Jain Dharma. So, they cannot be just immediately applied or followed by us. To apply and follow these principles, we have to make smaller and smaller steps. Like for Anekantvad, we have to listen the opinions of others. Akartavad, we have to accept all the situations and be calm in it. Ahimsa, we should not hurt anyone intentionally. Kshama, we should forgive smaller and big mistakes of others. And last but not the least, Sanyam. Sanyam teaches us that we should think before speaking anything, etc. So, now let's come to our last and bottom point, which is what benefit do we get by applying these principles? So, by applying these principles, the principle of Anekant and Syadwar, by applying this principle, the principle of Anekant and Syadwar creates understanding among the people, and Akartavad, the principle of Akartavad creates satisfaction in one's mind. Ahimsa, Ahimsa develops kindness among the people, and Kshama, Kshama converts our enemies into our friends and converts our foes into our friends. Sanyam, Sanyam stops wars. At last, I just want to conclude that we must also apply these principles in our day-to-day life and move towards the path of eternal peace, eternal happiness. Thank you, Jain.
Jury members and my all dear friends presented here. As you all know that English speaking competition is organized, in which my topic is why five sins are not at my level. So I will present my speech in four main points. First is definition of sin, second types of sin and also their definitions, third the loss we are getting by doing these five sins, and last why these sins are not at my level. So let's go to our first main point, that is the definition of sin. The thing that hurts and the reason of sadness is called a sin. Now we go to our second main point, that is the types of sins and also their definitions. So there are five kinds of sins. First, violence. The thing that gives hurts or to give pain to anyone is called violence. There are two types of violence, mental violence and physical violence. The passions like attachment is known as mental violence. Second, to torture someone is known as physical violence. Second, falsehood. Not to say whatever is seen, learned or heard and to say otherwise is called a falsehood. Third, robbery. To pick up someone's forgotten or misplaced thing without his permission and to give somebody else is called a robbery. Fourth, greed. To looking at others' mothers and sisters with an evil eye is known as greed. Last one is accumulation. To collection of a huge amount of money is known as accumulation. Here we understand the five types of sins. So let's go to our third main point, that is the loss lost we are getting by doing these 5 types of sins. So we all know that all these sins are the reason of sadness, and these 5 sins are the reason by which all the living beings are roaming in the 4 phases of life. The main reason of doing these 5 kinds of sin is mithyatva, means wrong faith. Induced by wrong faith, all the living beings commit all types of sins. So let's go to our fourth point, that is why these 5 sins are not admirable. So as I told you that all these sins are the reason of sadness, and by these 5 sins, this living creature is roaming in the 5 phases of life. So if you don't want to take a birth and you don't want to get a that, so you have to avoid these 5 sins. There are many ways to avoid these 5 sins. I am telling just 5. So the 5 conduct rule of roller skate are the ways to avoid the 5 sins. First, partial abstinence of violence. Second, partial abstinence of falsehood. Partial abstinence of stealing. Partial abstinence of partial abstinence of partial abstinence of greed, and last one is partial abstinence of accumulation. And last, I just want to say that like many siddhas, you also avoid these 5 types of sins and want to the 5th phase of life. And with this good feeling, thank to all everyone.
The Jain principles we are learning, we are understanding. Why should we learn them? What is the main purpose of learning them? So, on the religious side, by learning these principles, by applying them in our life, we can attain enlightenment, which is or Keval Gyan. And at present, we can become more motivated and positive thinking will occur in ourselves. But this can only be done by applying these principles in our life. So, there are many principles in Jainism like Anikansayatvad, Nishchay Vyavhar, Ahimsa, Krambadhaparya, etc. Today, I am here to explain that how can we apply Krambadhaparya in our life. So, a very warm welcome and Jai Jinesh to respected chairperson, honorable judges, chief guests, and all my dear brothers. Today, I Anand Jain is here from Anand Sukh House to present my topic, application of Krambadhaparya in our life. So first of all, we should know that what is Krambadhaparya. So Krambadhaparya is made by joining 2 words, Krambadha and Parya. Krambadha means which is bounded one after another or which comes in a proper sequence, and Parya means the situation. So the situations which come one after another in a proper sequence and which are fixed long ago are known as Krambadhaparya. Now let's move to our main topic. How can we apply Krambadhaparya in our life? So let's understand this with some examples. Many people in the world work hard, study hard to crack competitive exams like UPSC, JEE, NEET, etc. But even after doing very much hard work also, they are not able to crack them. So they become demotivated and they suicide. Why do they suicide? Because they don't know about Krambadhaparya. They don't understand that it was fixed, so they cannot change it. But what can they do? Instead of doing suicide, they can work hard, study more, so that next time they will not fail. Now, next example. In our life, where many situations come in front of us, some of them are good, whereas some of them are bad. As it is also said that सुख आते हैं, दुख आते हैं, इन्हें आते जाते सुख दुख में हम मस्त रहते हैं, हम मस्त रहते हैं. Which means whether there is a good situation or a bad situation, cordial smile. By this, we will not become sad and we will not waste our time. Now, let's talk about our last example, which is of our hostel only. Few days ago, the sports tournament was held at our hostel. If any student practiced very hard to win in any sport, but due to some circumstances, he could not win, so he becomes sad. But instead of wasting his time by being sad, he should practice more so that he can win next time. Because he cannot change the result by being sad. But if he will practice more, he can win next time. In all the above situations, we saw that if there occurs any problem, there is the solution that we should know our mistakes, then we should practice to resolve it and then try next time. But here a question arises that if everything is fixed long ago only, so why we should do anything? When its time will come, it will happen itself only. So why should we do anything? So the answer is no. It is not that we should not do anything. We should do Purusharth. Now, what is Purusharth? So people think that changing the situation according to us is known as Purusharth. But actually, Purusharth is the settlement of Krambadha Paraya in our mind properly. That means accepting the situation without the thought of changing it is known as Krambadha Paraya, is known as Purusharth. Now, a question arises in our mind that why should we apply Krambadha Paraya in our life? What is the benefit of applying it? So, by applying Krambadha Paraya in our life, we become more positive and relaxed. If everything is fixed, so we do not think that we can change it. We will not waste our time by being sad in a bad situation, and we can become more motivated for future. At last, I would conclude by saying सब द्रव्यों का सहज परिणमन सदा सहज ही होता है तुम्हें नहीं कुछ करना है बस सहज जानते रहना है जो कुछ भी होना अपने सहज भाव से होना है उसमें भी तो देर पार का कुछ विकल्प ना होना है जय जिन
Jury members and all my dear friends present here. Today I, Karmic Jain, is present to deliver a speech on my topic, that is, why five sins are not admirable. I will cover my speech in some points. My first point is, what are sins and what are they? All bad things that we do in our day-to-day life, from which a living thing can be harmed or sorrowed, is called sins. Sins are divided into 5 categories: violence, lies, robbery, perverty, and excessive indulgence. In my second point, I will explain 5 sins and give reasons why they are not admirable. First, violence. Harming or beating someone by which he or she is harmed or sorrowed is called violence. By doing violence, our anger becomes danger. That is why no one talks to us, and that is the reason of violence is not admirable. Second, lie. How we listen, how we watch a particular thing, instead of this, we say different thing about it, is called lie. By saying lies, no one trusts on us and never shares secrets to us. That is why lie is not admirable. Third, robbery. To steal someone's thing without the permission of its owner is called robbery. By doing robbery, no one gave us things to us because he knows we don't return it. Fourth, perverty. To saw someone else's mother and sisters from a lustful eyesight is called perverty. From doing perverty, called excessive intelligence. By doing excessive intelligence, we lose our sense of satisfaction and become more greedier than before. My third point is what steps should be followed to stop these five sins in our day-to-day life. We have to do swadhyay, stuff, and follow rules from which our mind will be focused on moksha and we will attain sanitation from this endless world. At last, I want to say that we should leave these five sins and went to moksha. Jai Hind.
Judges, distinguished guests, and my fellow friends, Jai Jain. Today, I am stand before you to deliver a speech on the topic applications of Jain principles. Jain principles are not just principles, but instead they are the bridge between soul and salvation, which stand on the pillar of Krambandha Paryay, Nimitta Upadan, Anekran Syadvad, and the realization that every soul has the power and equal opportunity to attain salvation. So one of the deep principles of Jainism is Krambandha Paryay. We are often worried about our future and we think and say, what will happen next? What will happen in future? So Jainism answers this with the principle of Krambandha Paryay, which teaches us that every paryay of every object has its own predestined order, which means it is pre-decided. As we hear in the Pujan lines, जो होना है वह निश्चित है, केवल यानी ने गाया है. By accepting this principle, a person moves from being doer to knower, that is becoming yata drashta. This also helps in our life as now we can grow positively while we fail because we know that everything is pre-decided and it was not our fault. It also helps us to improve our mental health now because we would not expect anything unrealistic and we would accept the slow and gradual growth. For example, if a man who is working in a company has expected a big bonus in the Diwali break, but his boss declined, and that's why he becomes sad. So, if he knew this principle, he would not be sad, but instead he would accept this situation. Once Gandhiji said that I want to see many things as they are in many point of views. So, this is none other than the principle of Anekant and Syadvad. Anekantvad teaches us that every thing has many faces, which means truth has many aspects and no person can claim it without absolute knowledge. In the world of different religions, different castes and different ideologies, this principle is very important because in public it reduces ego clashes and it encourages open-mindedness. By practicing this principle, debates would turn into discussions and the conflicts would turn into cooperations. For example, if a boy of around 5 years is watching his aunt saying his mom, sister, so he would be confused and he would complain this about to his mom. But the fact is that both the aunt and the boy is right. But they are struggling because they do not know the principle of Anekant and Syadvad. Now, let us move us to the third point, which is Nimitta Upadan. Nimitta Upadan is a powerful principle stating that the external force is influencer of an event, but the real cause is one you yourself. For example, if a student fails in his exam, so Nimitta is his friends which do not included in his studies or included him in the fun, so he was not able to study. But the Upadan is a student himself that he didn't wanted to study. Like when Lord Mahavir was in Lion's Paryay, the saints came and addressed him. So here also the attainment and the limit of right belief is these two shades, but the Upadan is Lion himself. By accepting this principle, we became easy and we can now live tension-free life as we know that everything around us which is happening, it is because of us, because we are the Upadan reason. Now, let us move us to the fourth point, Brahmacharya. As it is said in Natak Samasar that we should follow Brahmacharya in the daytime and we should not do any bad habits in the days of Ashtami and Chaturdashi. We should also follow Brahmacharya by the 9 barriers provided in the Janmani. In the end, I would like to say that by following Brahmacharya, we gain self-control and we do not do any bad habits. In conclusion, I would like to say that in this chaotic world, this Jainism principles are the only way which can guide our future. Thank you, Jai Hind.
सुख चाहे दुख ते भयवन ताते दुख हारी सुख कार कहे श्री गुरु करुणाधार. Jai Hind to respected principal, honorable judges, special guests and my dear friends. Today I am going to speak on the topic of why 5 sins are not admirable. So first I will tell you what is sins. All the bad things that are the reason for sorrow is called sins. There are 5 sins that you already know. They are hinsa, jhoot, chori, khushi and parigar. So the first sin is hinsa, which means violence. Violence is not hitting or killing someone. It also includes others with bad words or bad thoughts. If violence brings anger, and if we do anger, we get more and more sin. That is why it is not admirable. The second sin is jhoot, means lying. If we tell lies, people stop trusting us. Even a small lie can create a big problems later. We should never tell lies in our day-to-day life. That is why it is not admirable. The third sin is chori, which means stealing. Stealing is not taking something. Stealing is taking something that doesn't belong to us. It can be money, things, etc. A person who steals can never feel proud. That is why it is not admirable. The fourth sin is khushi, which means bad behavior. We should never do bad behavior. It creates trouble in home, in school, and in our society. That is why it is not admirable. And the last sin is parigar, which means greed. If we want more and more money and collect them, we will get more greedy and jealous. This makes life stressful. So it is not admirable. And now I will tell you who is the father of this all sins. This all sins father is wrong belief, which is called mithyatva. At last, I just wanted to say that either doing these things, we should do swadhyaya, tap, and follow moksha marg, and follow moksha